WATD presents John Paul, the Car Doctor. All things automotive. Have questions? Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's John Paul, the Car Doctor.
And good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. My name is John Paul, the Car Doctor, here to help you with your car problems. And you probably noticed Jesse and I and Bethany Builders were not here last week because there was local sports in our place, and we're back. And Jesse's back. We'll have to talk to Jesse a little bit later, too, because he was in, where were you? Scotland, Ireland? Where were you? You were someplace.
Not Ireland. I was in Scotland, went down to England, and finished off the trip in Wales. So all over the island of Great Britain there.
There we go. All right, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Right now with us is Jessie Jackson. She started a company called Mango Automotive, and not that many years ago, and turned it into quite the business. Jessie, good morning, and welcome to the Car Doctor program.
Good morning. Thank you. You confused me with that other Jessie on.
Yeah, I know. We have Jessies everywhere today. So let's start by a little bit of background about you and the business that you're currently in. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I came out of software, and I happened to stumble upon an automotive software. So I got to learn a ton about the automotive repair industry, and I saw a huge opportunity. At the time, 6 out of 10 automotive repair shop owners were looking to retire within the next 10 years. So there was going to be a huge transfer of shops and wealth within the industry. So I decided to jump in and start talking to owners in my area in Albuquerque and explore how I might help them retire.
So the process, I need to collect my thoughts here for a minute. I've been to what should be good restaurants that were run by chefs, and they don't always do that well. And I've been to repair shops that should do really well, run by people that have been in the trade for a long time, and they don't always do that well running the business side of what they do. They may be fantastic mechanics and can fix anything, but sometimes the business is not what they're that skilled at. And so it sounds like you're bringing kind of that to the table as well.
Yes, I would say when I was in software, I was focused on the user experience. So as I've moved into brick and mortar automotive, I'm also focused on the user experience. My business partner, Brian, has been in automotive repair his entire life. So often our conversations are me saying, why do we do it that way? And Brian saying, that's the way it's done in the industry. And me saying, okay, is that the best way? How should we reevaluate that? What could it look like that would be a better user experience for our customers?
Now, is it just a user experience with your customers, or is it also sort of a better user experience with your employees as well?
Yeah, of course, our employees are the most valuable part of our company. So we try to raise the bar there as well. What's interesting that I found in the automotive industry is this is a 150-year-old industry. So raising the customer experience and the employee experience bar is pretty straightforward. So when we started Mango, I was lucky to find my business partner, Brian, and when we talked to shop owners, we said we never yell. We offer benefits, we bonus well, and turns out that those 3 very basic things are not standard across the automotive repair shop aftermarket industry.
I know I was asked to go look at a couple of repair shops one time for my employer, and one of the things I found out was in a lot of cases when a new shop opens up, probably for all the reasons that you've made changes, there's something like 100% turnover in the first year, and then after that, the business itself tends to be in that 40 to 50% turnover rate. Are you doing what you do to try to also control that turnover rate?
By turnover rate, do you mean with employees?
Yes.
Yeah, of course, because when we buy an automotive repair shop, the most valuable part of the automotive repair shop is the employees that are working there. So we care about them, we invest in them, we invest in their education, we try to do right by them. I mean, I think as shop owners, we think a lot about our employees and what is good for them. And sure, they're more likely to stick around if you treat them right, but that's just basics, right? That's table stakes.
You would think it is, but sometimes it doesn't seem to work that way. And how important are things like Yelp and Google reviews to business?
Okay, so I know that you're on the East Coast, and I think that Yelp is very dependent in the automotive repair industry on your location. So we're in the Southwest, and Yelp is not a big factor for us. In fact, we have ran Yelp ads and sort of worked the Yelp circuit and saw really no additional customer flow come into our shops. But Google reviews, you better bet that those are super important for the customers that are coming in, and they should be. It's, we want to do right also by our customers and have that kind of reputation, and we want our customers to leave good reviews, of course, but leave honest reviews, because our industry has a history of not being honest, and I think it's time to raise that bar, and Google reviews help with that.
You went from software to automotive. That's a pretty big jump. What you must have amazing confidence. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I have found in the journey of my career that the person that I was when I said I was going to start Mango is not the person that I am now or that I needed to be to run these 8 shops. So sometimes and I coach a lot, I coach other people on acquiring businesses, and what I found is that when people get ready to set themselves a big, audacious goal, they feel a sense of disconnect they realize that saying I'm going to build this empire, that they're not prepared to run that empire, and that makes us scared to speak the goal and to execute it. But none of us are who we need to be to accomplish our future goals. We just have to be willing to put the wheels on while we're driving the car down the road. And if you're, if someone's struggling with that, a perfect example is parenthood. I have 7 kids, and something I know is before my first one was born, I had no idea what I was getting into, and I certainly didn't have the skills that I needed to have 7 kids, right? But you build those along the way. The same is true in your career.
It sounds like, looking at what you do, it sounds like you're doing 2 different things. You're acquiring businesses, but you're also helping business owners try to maximize their business, or if they want to get out of the business, to try to get the most value out of their business at the same time. Did I read that correctly?
Yeah, that's right. We help other auto shop owners elevate their businesses as well. And we just have a policy that a rising tide raises all ships, and that we really want to make a difference in our little corner of the universe, which is automotive repair, and we want things to be done the right way in this space. So we try to be a part of helping automotive repair shop owners, whether they're ready to sell and retire or whether they're trying to figure out how to make enough profit to keep going. Whatever their struggle is, we try to come alongside them and work through it with them.
One of the things that it seems like you try to help shop owners, somebody who owns one repair shop and wants to open a second or a third, and like I said at the very beginning, sometimes the person who owns the repair shop, fantastic mechanic, maybe not the best in business. How do you help them go from being the shop owner and head mechanic to somebody who has to sort of bounce between 3 or 4, or in your case, 7 repair shops, or 8?
Yes, 7 or 8. It's hard to put your finger on it. It's always changing, but we're at 8 right now. I think the key, like any business, is to put in the correct staff and the correct processes and procedures. And so we actually give our coaching clients these processes and procedures and help them focus on. We have what we call the 6 non-negotiables. And when you get down to it, the process of running an automotive repair shop is simple. It just needs to be executed over and over and over again. And you have to be willing to talk to your team about those processes over and over and over again. And we call it the mango way, but the way that you want it to be done. So we take what we've learned in growing from 0 to 8 shops, and we hand those you can call them SOPs, but whatever. Mm-hmm. Those processes and procedures over to other shop owners, and then we hold them accountable to implementing them.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes we all need a little nudge.
Mango is kind of a interesting name for a repair shop, but it's part of the whole branding, rather than, Ken's Auto Repair or something. Mango Automotive. How did that come out?
Yeah. We were throwing around names for the business, and I think my sister had suggested Mango, and I was looking for something, just as you said, Ken's Automotive. Either it's named after the owner or it's some automotive pun, right? Wrenchworks Automotive. And as I looked at those brands, and I was interfacing with shops, I realized it's hard to remember if I'm talking to Pinnacle Automotive or Mountain Care Automotive. So I wanted something that stuck out like a sore thumb. And when I proposed Mango, my business partner hated it. My mother-in-law hated it. Everyone said, no, that is an awful name. But what I noticed is you might hate it, but you'll never forget it. So it's quite sticky. And we've been able to build a brand around the idea of Mango. We have Mia Mango. She's our little character, and she interfaces with our customers. And anyone who comes to Mango does not get confused and think that they've gone to J&J Automotive.
Now, this journey of yours has only been a few years in the making, right?
Yeah, we're 4 years deep.
And you grew this from 1 shop to 8 pretty quickly. What was how were you able to do that so quickly, and I guess also have I don't know if it's the nerve to be able to build that quickly? How did you make it all work? Because I've over the years, people have offered me, repair shops, and I've never worked on my own, so it's something I've never done. I've never had the nerve to be able to do that. Now, you went from 0 to 8 in just 4 years. Was it the partnership, the business relationship you had? What in your head made it all decide you wanted to click to push you over the finish line to get it done? Or was it looking back, there was a cliff, so you had to either go over the cliff or to the finish line? What was the push that made it all happen?
Perhaps it's my tendency to just press forward when other people might stop and analyze the decision ahead. So maybe you could refer to that as just being dumb, or dumb luck. And perhaps it was my lack of knowledge of really understanding that I didn't yet have what it would take to be the leader I needed to be. But I think at the end of the day, before you can do it, you have to think it. So 8 shops is my goal was more than that, and we're still going. But I think a lot of, shop owners or business owners or entrepreneurs, or even if you're in your career, you're sort of so focused on what you're doing day to day, and that distracts you from even envisioning the possibility of growing. Like a lot of shop owners, when I talk to them, the idea of going from 1 shop to 8 shops, they think, I can't even handle my 1 shop. How am I going to do 8? So when you grow your business, though, what you have to be able to do is let go of tasks that you used to do. So there was a time when I was running all of the digital ads for Mango, and I couldn't continue to do that and grow at this speed, right? There was a time when my business partner and I, we were HR, we were payroll, we were finance, we paid all the bills, we did everything, and we had to let go of some of those tasks and hire someone who is better at the task than we were, which is sometimes hard to let go of. Sometimes you think you're the best. You got to find someone that's better at it than you so that you can focus on growth, because focusing on vision and growth is really its own set of tasks. And that's why we have CEOs. So you've got to extract yourself from the job that you know and are comfortable with, and be willing to be uncomfortable. Maybe that is my superpower. I'm just never afraid to be uncomfortable. I get a kick out of it.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. I think I remember talking to someone years ago, and we were talking about hiring people, and sometimes the person who's doing the hiring is afraid to hire that kind of A person because they're afraid they're going to be smarter than them. And in my mind, it's always like, I always want to hire somebody that's smarter than me, because the smarter people, everybody kind of rises to that highest level. If you hire a bunch of, C or B people, the best you're going to get is more C or B people. But if you hire an A person, you're going to get, everybody's going to try to come up to that same level. So, hiring the smartest person, the best person you can, seems always to make sense for me. If I was owning a repair shop and I was in your area and I was thinking of getting out of the business, what would you tell me I should do to try to get the most from my business?
Well, first of all, you should call us. No, I think when you are selling your business, the buyer is going to look at your P&L. So your financial statements are something that you might, a lot of us run our businesses based on how much cash is in our bank account, which is not always super directly connected with what's on our P&L. So a focus on what that P&L looks like, because if you have $500K in profit and you're going to sell your business, for 3x, and you're going to get $1.5 million, if you can eke out another $100K in profit, that's another $300,000. Every $300,000 helps, as a mentor of mine likes to say. So it really is a focus on that P&L. And then something else, this is a hard thing to do, but something that makes your business more valuable by buyers is you being less involved. So because then when you sell it, we don't have a big hole to replace. So if you're the shop owner and you're answering all the calls and the customers only want to talk with you and you are solving the hardest diagnostic problems, this is a very difficult shop to sell, although perhaps that's what puts the most income in your pocket because you haven't had to hire those roles. That you want to leave your shop when you sell it. So a buyer is very challenged. Now the buyer has to replace you, but they've got to replace a front of the house staff. They have to hire the best A mechanic. So I see those shops, and it's hard for me to acquire them, and I know a lot of times they end up just closing their doors because the shop is so reliant on the owner.
Have you been to any shops where, they're considering closing or selling out? And I'm going to go back to a story I heard from a local car dealer in the Boston area, Herb Chambers. When he first looked at his first dealership, the owner of the dealership actually had no idea how much money they made or how much they had. In fact, they thought they were making an extra, and I'm making up the number now, $500,000 a year. But in fact, they actually took out a loan a couple years before that, and that was actually what was keeping the place afloat. Have you found repair shops that just have no idea what's going on in their bank account?
Yes. A lot of smallish repair shops that are doing around $1 million a year really are disconnected from the financial side. And maybe that's because they grew up on the technician piece and they're trying to keep the business afloat. But when I mentioned, a repair shop owner being disconnected from their financials or the P&Ls, I think it's very common for that to happen. And you just have to reconnect to be in charge of your business and its value in itself.
If, over this 4 or 5 year journey of, starting this, 8 location company and, making it scale up both business wise and profit wise, if you had to look back at, maybe mistakes or risks or things you did, is there like 1 or 2 things that you wish everybody who wanted to go out on their own, learned in, what they say, everything in life you learn in kindergarten? Is there like 1 or 2 things that you could say, I wish they taught that in kindergarten because it would help every entrepreneur out there?
I would say the biggest thing is, and the biggest lesson I ever learned, every kindergartner knows, but we forget when we become adults. If you are a business owner or an entrepreneur or even in your life, you are only limited by your creativity. I think a lot of times we get stuck in the way that business should be done, the way that acquisition should be done, and I don't have X, so there's no way that I can do Y. Well, do you really have to have X to do Y, or is that just a limiting belief that you have? And if we are willing to think creatively, like when I'm working with shop owners, all we're trying to do is, I know the realm of what would work for me. So my goal is to understand the realm of what would work for that shop owner, whether we're coaching them or doing an acquisition. And all we have to find is a little sliver of overlap. If that exists, we can work together. If it doesn't exist, we can be friends and have coffee. But if I have so limited my circle because I don't know how to think creatively about business, then it really hinders our ability to work with shop owners or do acquisitions or do deals. So think creatively about your business and your life and dream of what you want it to be, and then you can figure out how to get there.
If people want to find more information, like you said, you're in the Arizona area, and that's where you're expanding, but this program also becomes a podcast, so it can be heard anywhere, and it's heard online anywhere, as it is. If people want to find out more information, either as to work with you possibly as an investor, or maybe they're a shop owner that either needs some help or wants to get out of the business, do you have a website where they can kind of help and work together and find out more information about you and Mango Automotive?
Sure. We have a few various websites depending on what you're interested in. So I'm going to actually give an email and a phone number.
Okay.
So if you want to email me personally, my email is Jessie, Jesse, @mangoautomotive.com. And then if you are interested in selling your shop or being part of a larger exit, and we didn't really have a chance to talk about this, John Paul, but right now we have an opportunity for shop owners to exit for a much larger multiple. So where they might be getting a 3x now, get a 10x upon exit. If you're interested in selling your shop and you're in the Southwest, or just having a much larger exit and you're anywhere in the U.S., you can call our VP of Business Development. His name's Kevin, and his phone number is 505-441-4779.
Give out that one more time.
Sure. It's 505-441-4779. And feel free to just text him the car doctor. If you're thinking of it, just shoot him a text right now, and he'll get back to you, and you guys can engage in a conversation. But don't let it sit. That's been the key to my success. Just keep going and do the action. This is a 12-second action. So do it now. Don't put it on your to-do list and let it waste away.
Well, Jesse, I want to thank you for taking your time out of your day and joining us at 8:30 in the morning, your time, on a Sunday morning, and on what I guess is the second day of spring as well. So thank you for taking time to do that. And fascinating, the idea behind all this and how it all worked. Just a lot of fun to hear, and always great to hear from successful, smart people, and you're all of that.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a great day.
You as well. Take care. Bye-bye. That was Jesse Jackson, owner of Mango Automotive. You can check out their website. It's mangoautomotive.com. If you're a repair shop owner and you're looking at their website and you're going, they have a really good-looking waiting room, and their shop looks really clean, and they're doing this and they're doing that. Kind of, there's a lot of ideas you can take out of this as well. And, if you're thinking about leaving the business, well, sounds like she can help you with that as well. We need to take a break, pay some bills. It's about 11:30. When we come back, we're going to talk about the car that got me around last week, and that is the Infiniti QX80. If you're listening on the podcast, kind of a rerun of that, because we did a little special podcast review of it, but we'll do the live one coming back in just a couple of minutes. You're listening to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join.
Hi, this is Liz Loans. Tune into Twilight Showcase Radio, hosted by Sandy Stride and Keith James. Visit twilightshowcase.org.
Twilight Showcase, tonight from 8 to 10 on 95.9 WATD. Honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. He's John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. The car that got me around was the Infiniti QX80. That's their big SUV. This happened to be the sport trim. I believe the Infiniti. Keep getting messages from Xfinity. That could be why. The Infiniti QX80 comes in a pure, luxe, sport, and autograph. I've driven the autograph one before, but this was a sport trim. This sits just below the autograph price-wise. It's expensive. It's $104,000. It's powered by a V6 engine. The V8 engine that was in previous models is gone. It's powered by a 3.5-liter twin turbocharged V6. It makes 450 horsepower and 516 foot-pounds of torque. That's probably 50 more horsepower than the V8 it replaced. It's actually, and the transmission is a 9-speed automatic. Matches the engine performance perfectly. This thing, for a big, heavy SUV, this does a really good job. This moves along really well. But I think it's the sport trim it's kind of, the sport trim doesn't add additional horsepower or suspension tuning. It's just different. It's a more aggressive appearance. The grill's a little bit unique. It's kind of this darker exterior trim. Inside, it's got traditional luxury, looks to it, materials and so forth. It's running on 22-inch wheels, which I remember when 20-inch wheels were like a big deal. If you had 20-inch wheels, it was wow, you're running 20s. And I was seeing cars with 20, 22, 24-inch wheels becoming kind of standard on some of these up-level models. So I think the sport term in this vehicle really has to do more with the way it looks, other than, is it going to handle any different than the Lux version? No, it's all the same. But you do get, it's a different theme. The inside of it's kind of unique. It's a blue and black leather combination, which really looks, it takes a minute to really realize what it is. And I'm one of these people that's never been really color focused, I guess would be a good way to say it. I'll look at something and somebody will say to me, oh, that's an interesting color car, or interesting color what? And they'll say, what color is it? I'm like, I don't know. The color doesn't sink into me. But when I looked at this, all of a sudden you see this kind of blue and black leather combination, and it really looks good. Plus, is the accents inside there look good, the wood trim and all that stuff. It has 3 rows of seats. It can seat 6 with pretty good comfort all the way around. Even in the third row, there's pretty good leg room, and the seats feel pretty supportive. I drove this particular vehicle back and forth to the airport a couple times because my sister-in-law was here visiting, and we took her to the airport, dropped her off, came back home, found out her flight got canceled at like 5 hours later, went back, picked her up, brought her back, and 2 days later brought her back to the airport. So where I don't typically do a lot of highway driving, I always go out on the highway to see how cars perform on the highway, but I don't do a lot of highway driving. This is all highway driving, it seemed like. So, and good car for that. Technology, Infiniti's got a lot of technology in this. The dashboard is, got these big displays, digital gauge clusters, all kinds of love it or hate it, lane departure warning, lane departure correction. You can turn some of the systems on and off if you want. Lane departure warning, so if you drift out of the lane, it vibrates the seat or puts a little tug on the steering wheel. Lane departure correction keeps you from changing lanes unless you're using your turn signal. So it will kind of fight you back on that. People either love it or hate it. I remember talking to somebody who had a new Chevy Suburban, and they thought there was something wrong with the steering. We went out for a ride, and I said, well, and he shows me, he goes, well, it won't let me change lanes. I'm like, try using your turn signal. Oh, that fixed the problem. So no problem. But it does have Infiniti's version of semi-autonomous driving, which works okay. They're not there yet. The last vehicle I drove, the GMC, I think had a little bit better version of that. I have never driven. I've been in a Tesla with what is supposed to be full self-driving mode, and it seemed pretty good. What Tesla doesn't do is it doesn't watch the driver. So I think the GM system actually works better than all of them because it relies more on safety. Like I said, a lot of technology in this, and if you're somebody who likes sound systems, this thing had, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, KLIPSCH, Klipschich audio system, lots of speakers. What I liked about it too, the navigation system, there's speakers in the head restraints, and the navigation system sound actually comes through the speaker in the driver's head restraint, so you're able to kind of process that a little bit better.
It's pronounced just Klipsch.
Klipsch?
Klipsch.
Are you an audiophile?
Some people say I know a thing or two about audio.
Well, is Klipsch a good audio system?
That I don't know. I haven't actually looked into it. I just know Klipsch. It's like I think it's a German word, but yeah, Klipsch. Klipsch. That's how they'd say it.
Well, fortunately, I know how to say Bose.
You do.
I do.
It's one of the things I love about you.
But overall, it feels composed. It's comfortable. It rides well. Like I said, the sport trim ultimately just offers a slightly different take on luxury, just a little bit better design. If you're looking for a luxurious big SUV, and this is big, if you're looking for a luxurious big SUV, take a look at this. Fuel economy is surprisingly good. I've been averaging, because of all the highway driving, around 24 miles per gallon. So actually pretty respectable for something that has 450 horsepower and can tow 8,000 pounds. So there you go. There's a review of the QX80 by Infiniti. If you would like to join us, all you have to do is pick up the phone, give us a call at 781-837-4900, and we'll talk to you and see what's on your mind about cars and car stuff and other things. Right now, I believe the phone lines are open, and you can join us at 781-837-4900. Couple of questions that came in this week. And somebody said to me they hope they weren't being too pushy, because they wanted an answer right away, and they emailed me. No, I try to answer usually within 24 hours. So if you don't get a response, if you send me an email at jpaul@aaanortheast.com and you don't hear back from me in like 24 hours, email me again, because at work we have a pretty strong spam filter, and sometimes questions will end up in the spam filter. It must just be the way they're worded or captioned, or even emails. If you're trying to email me from outside of the U.S., you can usually do it through like Outlook or Gmail. If you're using some other email specific to where you live, might not work, because it'll probably get caught because it knows it's coming from outside of the U.S. And at work they go, "Why are you talking to people outside of the United States?" Well, there you go. This person has a 2008 Dodge Ram quad cab, and he says the bottom of all four doors are rusting away, also above the rear wheel wells. So what would be the reason for this? I drive around and walk around. I notice most Dodge Ram trucks of this era and body have the same rust. Well, in the doors, it happens because water collects. You know, when you look at vehicles, look at your own car. The window closes, but there's a rubber door seal, and the rubber door seal is not perfectly watertight. So water runs in through the door and out and exits out through the drain holes in the bottom. And when water and moisture accumulate in there, that's what causes rust. And chances are, over the years, and this vehicle is 18 years old now, there's probably dirt and sediment and junk that is built up inside the door, and it's not letting the doors drain the way they should. In fact, I think I was looking at a Mercedes service information, and it was it actually, in the 30,000 mile service, it said clean vehicle drain holes. So they need to be done. And a couple weeks ago we had Ken Lemoyne on from Wax Oil talking about rust preventative, and they actually have a product where you can spray inside the doors, and it's very thin, so it doesn't clog up any drain holes. So it helps prevent rust. And I want to thank him also. He talked about his podcast, Behind the Garage Door, and he had me on that the other night. So if you're a follower of his podcast, you can learn all about that. So so keeping the drains open will help. The rust that's above the rear wheel wells, same thing. Stuff accumulates in there. Rust forms wherever there's moisture. So if there's mud that accumulates in there, things like that, that's where the problem's going to be. So clean it up and take care of it is the best you can do. This person says, my wife owns a 2016 Chevy Equinox. She leased it and then bought the car when the lease ended. At 85,000 miles, we replaced the spark plugs, drained the radiator, flushed it, along with replacing the refrigerant for the air conditioning. I wonder why they would do that. but they did. The belts and coolant hoses are fine at this current time. My question is, at the next maintenance, should we have the timing belt replaced? Any other ideas of other maintenance I should do to my wife's car? I do keep a close eye on things and change the oil every 3,000 miles. Well, you didn't mention what engine's in it, but it really doesn't matter. Both the 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder engines have timing chains, not belts. So as long as you're doing these routine oil changes and there's no inherent issue with the timing chains, like guides that are subject to break and things like that, the timing chain should last the life of the engine. There shouldn't be any reason to change it. I would just follow the regular maintenance, filters, lubrication, things like that. If you haven't done it yet, the 4-wheel drive system replaced the transfer case fluid. Changing oil at 3,000 miles is typical of kind of severe service schedule. You could probably stretch it out a bit. The factory recommendation is 7,500 miles. Can't hurt to change it early, but certainly something that you can maybe stretch a little bit depending on how much she actually drives the car or you drive the car. We'll do one more here and then take a break. I have a 2009 Volkswagen Jetta Sport Wagon. I purchased it new, and it only has 21,000 miles on it. Well, you don't drive it much, do you? The brakes are working fine. My mechanic said the ABS warning light is on because there's a problem with the ABS module, but he said it can be repaired. He's suggesting replacing the electrical portion rather than buying a new unit. What are your thoughts? He's right. When the ABS light is on, the brakes will function normally, just without the anti-lock brake function. So if you got going at 50 miles an hour and jammed on the brakes, the wheels would lock up like they did in, 1999, not 2009. So I think what they may be suggesting is sending the module out to be repaired. So sending it to a company like Upfix or one of those companies where they take it down to the semiconductor level and work on it and see what's wrong with it. Maybe there's a part of a board that went bad that the printed circuit can be repaired. Maybe there's transistor, resistor, whatever in there that is bad, and they can check it out and see what's wrong with it. And rather than replace it with a new unit. And that's, what I have seen with parts lately. There are so many terrible parts out there, replacement parts that just don't work the way they're supposed to. And it actually fools a lot of good technicians because, the person will come in and they have a new oxygen sensor. And the car's not running the way it should. And it's really that aftermarket oxygen sensor that is causing a problem, or even sometimes that factory one that's causing a problem. So the idea of repairing what worked good since 2009 might make more sense. The one thing I will say, though, ABS modules on Volkswagens are pretty solid units, and not something that gets replaced very often. Now, maybe the repair shop has gone through it all, but what I see when an ABS light comes on, more often than not, it has to do with an ABS wheel sensor or wiring, not the module itself. Sometimes it can even be related to vacuum lines. I remember my wife's old Volkswagen had an ABS light that came on, and it actually was a vacuum line that broke that turned the light on. So not that. Why don't we take a break? My name's John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program. You're listening on 95.9 WATD. Give us a call at 781-837-4900. Phone lines are open. Love to talk to you. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and buying savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join.
Abigail Adams once famously said, "Remember the ladies," and that's what we'll do this Sunday evening at 8 o'clock here at WATD. I'm Joan Orr, and I'll be featuring fabulous females this Sunday between 8 and 9 here at 95.9 WATD.
Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
welcome back to the Car Doctor program. We're offline. We talk about Jesse's pizza business and whether he spins pizzas over his head or not, which he doesn't. So I'm still waiting for him to send me a pizza here. Don't know how that would work, but still waiting.
I'd have to freeze it.
You would have to put it in dry ice and send it like it was that Omaha beef stuff.
That could be a really cool presentation.
It would be. Yes, it would. Let's talk to, we have a pair of Toms. Let's talk to our first Tom. Tom, good morning.
This one is Tom in Pembroke.
Tom in Pembroke.
Hey, John, how are you?
Good, how are you?
All right. Just to get back to the pizza discussion, is there any place left that still makes the pizzas, the old-fashioned way, throwing them up in the air? And it seems now they just they buy them frozen and throw them in the oven.
Oh, not everybody does that.
No,
But there are some show-offs out there that spin a pizza every once in a while.
There's almost no excuse for a pizza place to buy dough frozen. That means
there you go.
You didn't feel like investing in a dough mixer, which are expensive. I get it, but still, it's like dough is so cheap to make still. It's just flour.
I don't even mean just the dough. I mean an entire pie frozen and they throw it in the oven.
Oh, that is criminal and they belong in jail.
Yeah, there's a lot of places.
There you go. There's the answer. Put them in jail.
Yeah. Okay. And after that, getting back to auto parts,
mm-hmm.
do you know why there's such a huge price discrepancy? I was looking at brake pads. You can get the whole kit now for like $200, the rotors, pads, everything for each axle. And I'm talking brand name, Ray Bestis, Accabono, all
mm-hmm.
of them. Is there a difference?
There can be. I mean, there are some garbagey parts out there, but if you're buying, Ray Bestos and Wagner, they were always the go-to names years ago. You don't hear as much from them anymore. Accabono is all of a sudden that's a highlight. Everybody's, for at least domestic and Asian imports, Accabono seems to be the one everybody likes to use and has really good luck with them. I put power stop pads and rotors on my vehicle. I wasn't quite there needing brakes yet, but I did them early. And power stop brand, I saw mixed results in the reviews, when I was looking on Rock Auto and places like that. And I'm like, I don't know how good these really. I've been happy. They came with the pads, came with the hardware. The rotors look good, and I got the rust resistant rotors, and they're now a year later. They get a little fine, maybe just a little brownish tinge to them that comes right off right away. I had pretty good luck with the Power Stop brand. But if I was just out to buy a set of brake pads, I'd probably stay away from most of the, and I'm kind of picking on them a little bit, the AutoZone, O'Reilly's, kind of their store brand, whatever it is, and I'd want to go with something, a name brand like Accabono or Ray Bestos or something like that.
Yeah, there's really no price difference. Bosch, any of them.
Yep, no.
Even no-name ones. Yeah. Very similar.
Oh, I remember years ago, and this is more than 25 years ago, I could actually buy a set of brake pads and brake rotors for like your typical front-wheel drive at the time, Buick Century, Chevy Celebrity, something like that. I could buy the pads and rotors for $25.
Wow.
And they were absolute garbage. But they weren't. I mean, they were brand new. They were shiny. They probably didn't last very long. And they were every used car dealer's dream because they'd throw a set of rotors and pads on a car and say, well, this car's got brand new brakes on it. Were they any good? No. They were fine to make a car that didn't have brakes have brakes. So, but yeah, I think when it comes to something important like stopping, I kind of want to use a decent brand name.
Yeah. And do you remember even further back when rotors were a fortune, hundreds of dollars? It was very rare to replace them.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
talking
no,
way
and
back.
yeah, and I mean, and back then, and same thing with brake drums, they were all oversized. You were putting, brake drums on that you could, take 60, 80, 90,000 off and still be within the limit. Brake rotors, same thing. You could cut brake rotors. Every shop had an Amco brake lathe, and they were always cutting brake rotors. And today, the labor it would take to put it up on the lathe and resurface them, clean them all up, take all the rust off them, do all that stuff, the price of rotors has come way down. So it does make sense today to do pads and rotors together. You might, and maybe even your first brake job at 40,000 or 50,000, maybe you can just do pads. And then the second brake job, you do the pads and rotors together. So
you might as well do the whole thing.
Might as
but
well.
There's such a huge discrepancy on labor too. I know a guy that does it $80 per axle, but you go to a dealer, it's $600.
Yeah, no,
the labor part is $400.
Yeah, no, I have seen labor rates now from people who write to me as high as $270 an hour.
Oh my God, yeah. I would think it's even more. A brake job. How long is a brake job? An hour, and they charge $400.
Yeah. No, it's it's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
All right, good to hear from you.
All right, thanks a lot. Bye.
All right, and good comment on the pizza too. No restaurant should serve a previously frozen pizza that they buy out of a box. Terrible. We're going back to another Tom, right?
Yeah, we have Tom in Weymouth, and if we have time, we'll jump to Kevin and Quincy.
We only do Toms today.
Oh, yep, Tom's and Jesse's.
Yeah. All right, yeah, exactly. All right, Tom.
Yes. Hi, John. Quick question, very quick. On inspection stickers. I have a second vehicle. I never drive it. I mean that. So I was due for inspection sticker in January, but I couldn't do it because something's wrong with it. I need to work on it. 3 feet of snow around it and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got something from the registry, something about you didn't get your inspection sticker. Could they issue you a ticket when you're not driving it, or just the vehicle?
I mean, if you fixed it and you went out on the road, you would get a ticket, and it's actually depends on the police or whatever, but it's actually a moving violation, so it's a surchargeable ticket.
Right.
And the old days of you go get an inspection today or May or June or whatever, and your sticker's going to go back to January again. And you might go, well, I'm never taking this car out in January. So, and the answer to that is either you can get a form from the RMV that says I'm not driving my vehicle, and you can fill it all out. There is a form online for that if you go to the RMV website. But the other thing is, to fix that is you end up getting it inspected twice. You do it, you do it when you do it, and then you do it again in June or July. So you go, well, at least I know when it comes up again that I'll be able to do it while the weather's nice. Maybe it's a car you don't drive in bad weather. So, yeah.
Also, I'll add that if you're parked on a street and your inspection sticker is bad, I think you can also get a ticket for that.
Yeah. So, because
this is
it
off
is.
The road.
Yeah.
Yep. This is just sitting there. I have another car I drive all the time. It's just there, and I'm not going to work on it until it's warm out. So I can't get a ticket then unless I'm out on the road with it, which I don't do.
Right. Yeah. But you do get that notice that says we're going to cancel your registration because you didn't get the car inspected.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, but there is a form. That's what I want.
There is a form. There is a form because the car that we keep at the North House, the old Volkswagen that we have, it gets inspected in March or April or something. And I got the form because we're not there. What ends up happening, my wife goes home to visit her family and she ends up taking the car to get it inspected. So we come pretty close to not having it expired, but yeah, there is a form you can get because I asked the inspection folks all about that.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay,
well, thank you very much.
All right, sure thing.
Let Kevin in. Bye-bye.
All right, take care.
Got about 30 seconds here to talk to Kevin.
30 seconds, Kevin. Can you come up with a question?
Oh, yes, Doctor. I just put a battery in. I have a 21 F-150 with all the bells and whistles. I upgraded from the H6 AGM to H7. and the YouTube man says to flash the high beams 5 times, 3 times in the brake to reset the battery management system. I was wondering if that sounded kind of correct to you.
No, it sounds silly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
I think
light did go off when he said so.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's just. I think if you just drove it, normally it would have reset itself and everything would have been fine. But yeah, the right way to do it is you actually have a battery reset tool, and it just tells the truck's computer that it's got a new battery in it. That's all.
Oh, okay. Because that's
Okay.
one of the things I read. It has to know it's new battery.
There you go.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Take care. Well, that music means we need to go. We didn't get to talk to Jesse about his trip all around Scotland. Next week, we'll do that. So until next week, make sure you wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car, and if you do see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over. It saves lives. Talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.